shared faith and the shared commitment that has been the secret sauce. And also, gotta say, um, keeping it fresh. Keeping
Mm.
it fresh is definitely has definitely helped. I am constantly, I don't know if this is a norm among other wives, but I'm the person who will Google how to make my husband feel sexy.
Hi, Sheena. Welcome to my comfy
Hi, Nicole.
couch.
So
How
happy
you?
to be here.
Oh, I'm so happy that you agreed to be here, Sheena. The reason I have you on the show is because I was so inspired by the fact that you've been married for quite a while. And nowadays it's kind of hard for men and women to kind of get together, and some of them see the value in marriage. So when you see that it's actually working out with folks, it's really encouraging. So thank you so much for agreeing to be on.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
So, Sheena, tell us for the audience, how long have you been married?
I have been married for this year will be 22 years. So from
20.
22 years, I got married in 2002.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. And you see, look at her. It's like she looks like she barely over 22.
Oh, well, thank you.
So, Sheena, tell me about your story. How did you guys meet?
I would say it's a fairy tale. I really gotta say it's a fairy tale. I met him at church. I was singing on the choir. Yes, I was singing on the choir, and he visited the church. I was visiting from Jamaica at that time, and one of the mothers in the church, how for those of us who are from a religious background, I grew up, in Pentecostal church, and the mother in the church, she saw it in the spirit. She saw that
Oh,
these two were going to work together, and he is the one that approached her because he knew her, but he didn't know me. So he was very close to this particular lady, and he introduced himself to her, and they grew a relationship, from a while. And then he just basically said, "Who is this new girl that's been coming to the church? Where is she from? What's her name? What's her story?" And she went to pray, and she saw that it was going to be great. She said she saw it initially. So, and then she just went to work, and it started where she asked me not to sit on the choir. One Sunday she wanted me to sit next to her. So I know I was like, okay, that's a little weird request, but okay. She's a mother in the church. I'm not going to tell her no. Um, so I sat next to her, and before I knew it, she wasn't sitting there anymore. He was. Yes. Yes. She did that. And then afterwards, of course, we shared a hymnal during church, and shared the Bible and all of that. So then after church, formal introductions, and she explained what she did. She wanted me to meet him, and so on and so forth. Exchange phone numbers, and as they say, the rest is history. We I guess you would say, we don't say dates in church. We courted, I guess,
right,
for
right.
I would say 2.5 years. And then we got engaged, and within 3 months we were married. So I literally got married at 20.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So
Woo.
I'm a big girl. Yeah, but yeah,
Wow.
it's a fairy tale, right? It's like
It
that's
is.
what you hear of. You hear stories, and you're like, man, I would want something like that. So I just thank God that it happened like that, because it wasn't a struggle. It wasn't a struggle. I wasn't, out getting, all of these bad experiences or anything like that. So my naivete kind of played off for me. So thank God.
Wow, that is again so inspiring.
Thank
That's
you.
really interesting because I'm wondering if mothers in the church are still like that nowadays. I don't,
Right?
you know,
I haven't heard that in a while.
I know it seems like they don't want to get involved. They see all the young folks, and because I wonder that too. Sometimes I'm like, man, why aren't these young folks getting married? Like
Yeah.
the kids that were growing up, they're not getting married, and it's like, wow. But I never thought to do something slick like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, she
Man.
went to bat. She went to bat for him because, of course, my parents wanted to know what is going on. It was my uncle's church, so he was the bishop and everything at the church, and of course, everybody was like, What do you mean this is happening and you're putting this together and so on and so forth." So yeah, she went to bat for him. She was the reference point. Everybody went to her. No one came to me. Everybody went to her.
But see, that's the thing when it's like a community,
Yeah,
they value the relationships, and that I love that. Man,
thank
what can we
you.
get from that? What lesson can we get from that? Should we, as a community, see the importance of marriage? Because you go to church so much and you learn about the spiritual, but how
Yeah.
much do they teach and try to encourage and make sure they do the best that they can to make
Hmm.
sure that people get together and get married? Um,
Absolutely.
man,
It was solid. It was,
yeah,
yeah, I'm truly grateful for that. And you know what? It leads me into the point of, because how it happened in my head, I was like, no, no, God came down and did this. This is going to work.
see,
It
when
was just already in my head, like, no, regardless of what happens, we win in the end. That the fight is already fixed. We win.
I
That's
love
just how I
that.
was looking at it.
Yeah, and I think that would change my perspective too. If it's like, if I
Hmm.
felt like this is really for God, because of God, then yeah, I would have stuck it through. So you really
Yeah,
had that confidence that God put you guys
for
together.
for sure. I'm like, I
Oh,
literally had nothing to do with this. I had
wow.
nothing to do with this.
I love it, that
Yeah.
faith that you had. Love
Thank
it.
you.
So
Thank you.
were there times when you questioned like, ooh, did God really do this? Like, was there any
There.
times throughout it where either one of you felt like, oh no, I might really want to let this go? Like, did that ever happen with you guys?
Yes, I would say, not to the point where you're like, I've questioned it. I've questioned it. Never got to the point where we would actually discuss it, right? But I've
Yeah,
questioned it. It's gone through my mind, and especially in the beginning of our relationship. My husband is much older than I am. He has, more of a history, more experience than I had, and so he would like throw the D word around. I'll say it,
yeah,
divorce.
yeah,
He would throw
yeah.
the D word around. Now, I'm in my upbringing, that was like a no. It's
Right.
one and done. We're not doing all of, that's just the way. So I never had to experience that. And he would say it, say we had a heated argument or something like that. He would say, well, if it's something that we can't work out, we don't have any kids yet. Um, we can just, get a divorce. It's not, he would kind of hint
Yes,
those things.
yes,
And I was so uncomfortable. It was such a sore spot for me. I literally just felt naked while he was, saying those things. And I told him, I'm like, I really don't like this. Not even in jest.
right.
Don't talk about that. It's not an option. It's not an option. We need to look for a solution, look for a resolution. How are we going to move past this? Because that's not going to work for me. And thank God that he was the kind of person that he is, that he was like, okay, I apologize. I'm sorry. And it's been, so we've been married 22 years, probably maybe about 18 years that we've never discussed that anymore. It's not, it's out of sight, out of mind. It's not a thing that, we think about, or that comes close to even a discussion. We talk about it, when in the media, talk about other people's relationship, and now it's more open because he
Right.
knows my stance on it. He's adopted that stance too, and so it's a thing of, whenever we see couples getting divorced or anything like that, he will touch my hand and he will be like, "Man, I pray we never get to that point." And
Yeah.
we touch and agree, and we speak truth. You speak over each other all the time, just not
Oh,
even just, when you kneel down to pray or anything like that. Just in passing, we're having dinner, he'll just squeeze my hand and be like, "Oh my God, whew, I don't want that to be us kind of a thing. And I do the same thing too. So yeah,
Uh,
we've thought about it initially, but it's a hump that I don't think that something is wrong with having those thoughts. Nothing is wrong, right? But having the commitment to each other and the openness to discuss it, it's something that you can move past. And now it's a non-issue, you know. So thank God for that.
I love that, Sheena. And it's so many things we can get from that. One, the fact that you were able to communicate how you felt, right? You
Yeah.
didn't hold it in and you were able to say it, I'm sure, in a respectful manner where he
Yeah.
was willing to be open and receptive. And you said it at a point where you weren't done at the breaking point. I
Yeah.
feel like people oftentimes wait till they can't take it. They're ready to walk out the door, before they vocalize that, hey, but I'm glad you said how you felt and you had standards. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, look, if we're going to be together, this is something I don't, tolerate. It's not something
Mm-hmm.
that I'm gonna, continue with. And the fact that he was receptive too, like it takes both parties to make it work. And the fact that he was like, you know what, I'm sorry, humbled himself and made the changes, that is amazing. I
Yeah.
love
Thank
that.
you for sure, for sure. One thing we've adopted is I never raise my voice ever. It doesn't matter what. And even if so I have two kids now. We
Mhm.
have teenagers, right? I have a 16, almost 17-year-old and a 12-year-old. And, sometimes I'll get a little heated with them or I'll, yell, come pick up your shoes or whatever. And he will say, babe, he doesn't do it either. He doesn't even want me to
Oh,
yell in any shape or form. So I love that we've adopted that. And if because the kids are the only one that get any yelling at, right? And that I try not to do it as much as I can, but you know how that gets sometimes. But yeah, because kids can really whew, kids can really push your buttons. But yeah, the whole yelling at each other, no, we've never done that, and that's a no-no.
yeah, I love that because I was gonna wanted to speak with you about that too, the conflict resolution, because I feel
Uh,
like, that's really a challenge for folks. They don't know how to move past conflict, even very early on, even before marriage.
true.
It seems like once you disagree, it's like, okay, we done, or
Yes.
it's done in such a toxic manner that it's
Mm-hmm.
really unhealthy for the relationship. So
Yes.
I'm glad that you guys got to the point where you're both like, okay, we're not gonna raise our voices, and
Mm-hmm.
that you guys speak over each other. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so and
Yeah.
I noticed that, which I've heard oftentimes, those first couple years are really hard because of course you're learning each other. Like
Mm-hmm.
you said, he had these ways, I had these ways, I grew up this way. Did you guys have the similar upbringing? Like in terms of your
Um,
family structure,
no, no.
Okay,
So he is a product of divorce.
okay,
We differed in that realm. He also had the experience of living with a single parent. So first he lived with his mom, and then he lived with his dad, and then he moved back with his mom, migrated to the U.S., things like that. So very different were in terms of that part of his life. He was also from a religious background, not as I would say not as orthodox as I was.
okay,
He was, had more freedom. Different. It was a different time for him as well. And he's a guy. Boys experience life differently from girls.
okay, now,
So it was different. So it was different when I met him. It was different for
mhm,
him coming into my family, everything. My family is completely different from his, and my family is much larger than his.
okay. So you grew up in a two-parent home, I
Yeah,
presume? Okay.
tutoring home from start to finish. Yes.
Do you
No,
think that So do you think that affects the way that you guys are in the relationship, especially at first? Do you feel like that was like kind of something you had to overcome?
um, I thought it would be. I
Mhm,
thought it would be. Even my parents, they thought it would be too,
mhm,
because that was a whole sticking point for them as well. saying, oh, he's from a broken home. And I'm like, oh my gosh, stop saying that. I don't like that stigma that we put on it. It's not broken. Like I just don't like that. So I kind of shut them down from the beginning with that. But in the back of my head, because of what they used to say, I thought it would be that way too.
Yeah.
But thank God it has not. It really has not. It's different. It's
Hmm.
different from what I was used to seeing growing up, but it's a pleasant surprise. He
Yeah.
is so committed to his family. He's so committed to me, right? To his wife and to his children. You would never know. You would never know. The
Hmm.
only person I can liken him onto is my dad.
Wow,
That's
that's
the only, yeah,
amazing.
yes, like
That's
I don't see my friends with husbands like him. I don't see my neighbors with husbands like him. The only person that comes close is my dad.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. And that's interesting because, some folks do feel like that. Like, okay, if that person doesn't come from a two-parent home, then, that might be issues. But I really think, yeah, if somebody has seen it in the home, that makes it a lot easier to know how to be a husband or wife. But
Absolutely.
also, it takes the individuals. Like, if you're
Yeah.
someone who's teachable or who can really be, attentive and, hey, if he said something like you did, Sheena, and he
Hmm.
actually obliged and said sorry and made changes, like, it really does take the individuals at the end of the day to make it work.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. I think what it did for him was, I don't want this to be me. I'm going to do things different.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that's the angle that he came from. He was there and he saw what his mom was going through. He saw what his dad was going through from, both perspectives, because he's lived with his dad, he's lived with his mom, and he probably said, yeah, I don't want that. This is what I'm gonna do when it's my turn. And I'm telling you, I'm just blessed. I'm really,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, guys, see viewers watching, see it's possible.
It is absolutely possible.
Yes. And
Absolutely possible.
so, what made you decide to marry him? Like, what about him? Because, we're thinking, like, okay, what is it that we should look for in a partner? If you do want someone who's going to be long term,
Yeah.
what do you think? What attributes do you think, women or men should look for in their partner?
So one of the things that stood out with him is I loved and appreciated the way he cared for his mother. That was
Mm.
number one. And the way he cared about my friends. So if it was that my sisters or my girlfriends and I went somewhere with him, he was just so kind and thoughtful and just attentive to them, right? I'm like, wow,
Wow.
yes, it was very, very special. And not in
Mm.
oh, he's looking at my friend or nothing like that. Nothing, so wholesome. He cared. And
Mm.
that was very key. How he treated his mother, how he
Mm.
treated his friends, and I always felt safe till this day. I feel safe. So safety was key for me, right? And I would say the most important thing is I felt poured into. I feel poured into all the time.
Wow.
All the time. Like he fills me, right? I never feel
Mm.
depleted or worn
Mm.
down. He'll fill me. If ever I had a rough day at work or whatever experience it is, once I've had the chance to pick up the phone and talk to him, text him, I feel girded, right? I
Mhm.
feel undergirded, underpinned, just solid, right? So I think that's important. It has nothing to do with the physical attributes or anything like that. Just how he makes you feel. It's the feeling. It's the feeling.
Mm. That is amazing, Sheena. And that's so interesting because those are different things than, the typical that you hear
Oh
from
yeah.
people. I love
Yeah.
that.
Because
I
all of those things can fade, but these things, I'm like, oh my God, this is him. This is so solid. This is so solid. It's like I couldn't even, these weren't things that I wrote down, you know.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
aren't things that had a chance to go through the filter because I didn't
Right,
even
right.
write these things down, but I felt it. I'm like, wow, I feel so safe, so protected, so poured into. Just he makes me want to be better, so that was very, very important. I just it's like I want to be better for how amazing he is you
Oh,
know
oh my God, Sheena, I love it. Woo! Love it.
Thank
Now,
you.
woo! All right now. What else was I gonna say? So that's so beautiful. So Sheena, so tell me, what do you think has kept you guys together for so long? Like, people always looking for the secret sauce, even though I know it's probably not the same,
For
across
everybody.
the board. But what do you think is your guys' secret sauce? That's me.
Secret sauce, I would say definitely shared faith. Shared faith is
Ooh,
is the secret sauce, and shared commitment. Shared faith,
ooh,
shared commitment, and having goals that are ours together, and also giving each other space to be who we are, right? Because the person who he married 22 years ago is not this same person. I'm telling you, it's not the same person. And I say, thank God he had the foresight to see what the woman that I would grow into be. But definitely shared faith and the shared commitment, that has been the secret sauce. And also, gotta say, um, keeping it fresh. Keeping
mm,
it fresh has definitely helped. I am constantly, I don't know if this is a norm among other wives, but I'm the person who will Google how to make my husband feel sexy. I will go to this day, it's probably in my search history for different things. How to surprise my husband with surprise texts. What, like, I will do that. So I keeping it fresh, definitely, whatever that means to you. Change your hair, change your clothes, text him something out of the blue, do something unexpected. And he loves that. So I definitely think that that's key. And don't let yourself go, as according to my 16-year-old. Don't let yourself go. Pour into your mind, pour into your body, and be the person that he's attracted to all the time. All the time. So whatever it is, that if I see him watching a particular video on YouTube, and it's something like, for instance, there was a song that he was listening to on repeat this week, and he was watching the music video and everything, and it was with a girl, very attractive girl, right? And I was just curious. I'm like, huh. So I started watching the music video too on my own, because I'm like, wonder what he's attracted to with her. And then I saw in the search history that he was listening to her story, where she was from, how she grew up, all that. So he was super interested in her. So I was just nosy, because I just wanted to see, and I was like, okay, all right, that's nice. And it's just something that's in my head. Now it's in my arsenal. Little things that probably I know that he likes, then it's in my arsenal of, okay, he likes that kind of thing. I'm gonna try that, so things
wow.
like that.
Sheena, to see that somebody cares so much like that 22 years later, that's amazing. Because you hear it all the time that, people just get so comfortable and they just stop
Mhm.
working and trying to. But I love that. You should always be in the mindset of, how do I keep them attracted? How do I, keep them engaged? You know what I mean? You still
Yeah,
have the chase and everything should still be there, right?
yeah, yes, yes. What you want them to look at you,
Yeah.
googly eyed. You want that. At least I want that. I
Yeah.
want that. So I will, I'm always looking for ways for that. I want him to be surprised, right? Not same old, same old. I want him to be surprised. I want him to be like, wow, I didn't know you knew how to do that, or kind of. So I'm constantly reading and figuring things out, and that's why I said I don't know if other wives do this. Sometimes I feel crazy.
I highly doubt such things. It seems like they can barely tolerate the person, so they can't. But
Yes,
I think that is so key though, because I feel like once you give more, he's gonna want to give more. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So
I
that's just
believe that.
yeah,
I
that's natural. When you see people pouring into you, you want to pour into them. Like it's just
Mhm.
that's natural.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That's true
Oh my
because
God.
that's how I am. If somebody, it's not a do for do, but if
Right.
you want to put out what the other person's putting out, or I also believe that whatever I'm putting out, that's what I expect to be reciprocated.
Exactly.
So if I
Exactly.
start slacking, then he's gonna start slacking, kind of
Yeah.
a thing. Oh yeah.
Oh my God, Sheena, you gave so many great tips. So, ladies out here, yes, I want a man. You want to keep a man and a good man. Y'all, man, Sheena really gave us some great, amazing, amazing tips. And not only amazing tips, but it's actually working for her, okay? So,
Yeah.
y'all watching the chat, make sure y'all thank Sheena. And yeah, I'm just so excited for you, Sheena. Oh my God, your story
Thank
really,
you.
love it. Um,
Oh, I love this. I'm so happy to have had the opportunity to share. And the key is, know that you are not always going to feel head over heels in love. You are not always going to feel like that. The goal is to create a lasting relationship, right? One where you're going to be happy, you're going to be fulfilled. You're not going to be in love all the time, and there's going to be ups and downs and ebbs and flows and peaks and valleys, and it's going to hurt sometimes, but just have that shared commitment of, in the end, we win. The end,
Woo!
in the end, we win.
Mhm.
I love that phrase. It was actually a sermon that I listened to, and it was called "The Fight is Fixed." In
Mm,
the end, you win. So
mm,
once you know that, no matter what's happening right now, at the end of all of this, we're gonna win. Meaning, we're gonna end up together.
mhm,
It makes it easier. It makes it easier because you're just gonna be looking at, I cannot wait until we get out of this, whatever this is, however we're gonna get out of this, whatever therapy we're gonna need to go to for this, whatever counseling we're gonna need to, we're going to get out of this. And that's super, super key. Always strive to be in like with each other. Because I say all the time, after 22 years, I still like the dude. I really still like the dude. I still get butterflies from the dude.
ah,
I still like him. Like, he's still great. He's still a good guy. He still makes me laugh. And, I can't imagine. He's probably going to be a grumpy old man, and it's going to still make me laugh. But
Sheena,
yeah.
beautiful, beautiful story.
Thank
Thank you
you.
again, Sheena, so much for being on. And maybe we'll have you on 20 years later. Like, oh,
Oh, let's do it. Let's do
40 years.
it.
And
Yes.
then maybe you'll look 40 then. We'll see. We'll see.
Oh.
We'll see. We'll see, Sheena. We'll see.
Ah, thank you. Thanks,
Thank you so
Nicole.
much again, Sheena. You guys watching, make sure you thank Sheena. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time on My
See
Comfy
you guys.
Couch.
Yes. Take care.